We make countless numbers of choices throughout our lives. Some are more important than others because they can change the course of our lives. It could be the schools we attended or the careers we chose. Maybe it was a relationship we ended or the one we started that was life-changing. Today's gospel tells us about a choice. The young man in the story wanted to know what he needed to do to gain eternal life. And Jesus says to him, well, keep the commandments. And he says, well, I've done all those things since my youth. And then we hear that Jesus looks at him, loves him, and invites him to sell all that he has to follow him, to be his disciple. And I think it's the only time in the gospel where a person was invited to follow Christ, but does not. We are told that he went away sad, for he had many possessions. He was given a choice and made a decision that impacted the rest of his life. Who knows what he might have done? Perhaps he could have been selected as one of the apostles. Perhaps he could have been the author of one of the Gospels. Some people say that the young man should never have asked the question if he wasn't prepared to really listen to the answer. In the case of the young man, he might have looked at what Jesus asked of Peter and his brother Andrew to leave their fishing business and to follow him. Or what he asked of Matthew to leave his profession of collecting taxes and to follow him. What about us? Should we ever really ask the question, what do you want of me, Lord? How do you want me to serve you? Don't ask unless we're prepared to listen to the answer. And I'm not talking here only of religious vocations, but that certainly can't be excluded. Perhaps if a young person here asks, what do you want of me, Lord? Maybe the answer is to explore a possibility of a vocation to priesthood or religious life. Today, one of our own parishioners, Erin McDonald, took her first vows as a member of the Sisters of St. Joseph. We would rejoice with her and her family. At the same time, the question, what do you want of me, Lord, can be asked by anyone in any vocation. It really is how Christ wants me to live my life. It's not only to keep the commandments, but also to live a selfless style of life. Perhaps we are not asked to sell all that we possess, but it does mean to examine my life and to see what possesses me. And not to be satisfied unless the question is not what possesses me, but who possesses me. And the answer ought to be Christ. It may be a difficult choice and one that is challenging to do, but the final words of Christ in today's gospel ought to ring in our ears. Nothing is impossible with God. Nothing.